This is a place where we are unapologetically unique, and we want to encourage you to see that you can be you. So it all starts here.
Thank you for joining us. We are the Be You Show. I'm Jen.
And I'm Sonia.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Salud. Let's end with some coffee, girl. Coffee.
Hey everyone, welcome to the BU show this week. We are excited to be here as always to get to hang out with you and have great conversations and awesome coffee. But today we are even more excited because we have a guest with us who is originally from Canada, but now resides in Nashville. And we have joining us today, Victoria Banks, who is a Nashville songwriter. Now, this woman is pretty amazing, I have to share, because she's got lots of credits to her name as a songwriter. I don't know if you've ever heard of people like within the country music world, Sarah Evans or Johnny Reed, and most recently, Mickey Guyton. I probably just tortured her name wrong. I'm sorry, Mickey, if I did. But Victoria's going to share more about her songwriting experience, but she's also an awesome mom, an awesome wife, and just really a great promoter of women in the music industry. So without further ado, we want to say welcome to Victoria Banks.
Thank you, Sonia. Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hello. Thank you for coming on. As a mom, I truly appreciate you coming on and stuff. I know wrangling those little ones is tough at any time of the day. So we appreciate you taking time out of your evening tonight to join us for some coffee talk and just catching up. So
well, thanks for inviting me. And they actually conked out pretty fast. I think they're up there and they're staying up there. So we'll see. We might be interrupted, but hopefully not. Tomorrow's the first day of school here in Nashville. So a lot of excitement. Yes.
Now, are they going back in person for Nashville?
They are, yeah. I have a first grader and a pre-kindergartner. So they're going back in masked, of course, and we'll see how it goes. Last year was a combination of some in and some virtual. So
right,
just have to roll with it.
Exactly. For us, my daughter and I lived out in California, so it was all online, virtually. And now we're going back in person out here. We're now in Ohio. So she's in first grade too. So we're still waiting to hear masks, no masks. It's a sign of the times. So.
It is, and it's such a crazy time because you just never know what's going to come next, do you?
Exactly.
Well, and this is the thing, you really have to learn to go with the flow in today's world anymore. And we talk a lot on our show about personal development and growth and what it just takes to kind of, be you, be exactly who you are and be confident in that no matter what is going on around you. So, Victoria, if you just take a minute and give a little more of an introduction than what I shared, so that our guests can get to know you just a little bit better, I'd appreciate that.
Sure, of course. So I was raised in Muskoka, Ontario, in a house that was heated with just wood and was crammed full of antiques. My dad still lives there. Yeah. So I grew up listening to phonograph records, cylinder records, and I fell in love with music that way. And then I moved to Nashville after high school to pursue songwriting. After college, actually, I finished a degree in zoology at the University of Toronto before I moved. So I'm qualified to work with all the animals in the music business, which they're everywhere. But anyhow, I moved to Nashville, and that was 1997, and I got signed to my first publishing deal as a staff songwriter, which meant that for the next 24 years, I would be going to the office 5 days a week and writing a song a day, and sometimes 2 and occasionally 3. And I've been doing that ever since, writing with and for country artists mostly, but all different genres. And I've also released 4 of my own records as well, and had a chance to tour across Canada and support those records, and that's been really fun. And then my new thing that I've just recently begun is I'm going to be teaching songwriting at a college in Nashville called Belmont University, which is a great college. So I'm very excited to be turning over that new leaf.
I think, something that a lot of people don't understand is that like songwriting is a skill.
Yes.
Like, that you could go and have this job where every single day you go, like you said, you go into the office and you write a song. People sometimes think that songs just, fall out of the sky, and maybe sometimes they do. And you have to, grab that bar napkin and start writing down real fast, that little lick that you heard or whatever. But there is an art, there is a skill to it that obviously can be learned. And that's why I'm assuming that many artists flock to Nashville and find that they're looking at, participating in the schooling system that you're involved in now. So that's very cool.
Yeah, it's something that you really have to learn how to do to make the inspiration appear, because you can't afford to sit around and wait for it when you're being paid to do that every day. So and especially when you are writing with artists and you have a very slim margin of time when you can sit in the room with them and do that. You might have a 2 or 3 hour window and you might never see them again. So you have to figure out how to create a song during that time, and not just any song. It has to be a really good song. It has to fit the genre. It has to fit what they're looking for, and it has to be something that they relate to. So you become really good at drawing information out of people, personality out of people, and just listening very carefully to figure out what you might say.
Yeah.
So at what age did you know that this is where you wanted to go and follow your dream?
Well, I was always singing, and I was always making up songs right from the time when I was a child. And I mean, a lot of us do. I think most people sort of sing and make up songs, and then along the way we forget that we have that creativity. But I'm a firm believer that we all do, and we could draw it back out again, but that's a whole other conversation. But anyhow, so I was into playing in bands, like literally garage bands, in high school. I played in a band with another country artist, a Canadian country artist named Derek Rattan, and the two of us were in a band together in Bracebridge, and we played and all over the place in this band. And really, I fell in love with songwriting from the songs that we played in that band, and we were playing a lot of sort of older 70s stuff, John Cougar Mellencamp, Rolling Stones, Creedence Clearwater Revival, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I began to really listen to songs in a new way, and listen to how I was trying to figure out how they made me feel the way they were making me feel, and why do they do that? What is it about the song, and what's the moment in the song that affects me, and why is that? So I was kind of studying it in a weird way, and I knew that when I graduated from school in Toronto, well, I was trying to get a real job and go into zoology. That was what I was trying to do.
Isn't that what every musician was told? To get a real job,
right? So I was trying to do that, but life would not let me do that, because right before I graduated, there was an election, and the new premier of the province axed all the funding to the Ministry of Natural Resources, which was where I was going to be working when I finished. I had been doing summer student contracts, working with the fish and studying the fish populations in the Muskoka lakes where I grew up. And so, April comes along in the last year of school, and there's all of a sudden no department, and all the people that hired me were also out of work, and they were the whole market was flooded with overqualified zoologists. And I was like, my job's gone. I don't know what to do. I guess now I get to really ask myself, with a blank slate and no expectations, what do I really, really, really want to do? And what I wanted to do was to write songs. And I knew that Nashville was the place to do that. I had visited it a couple times and seen Derek Rattan, because he had moved down there as well. And so I packed up everything I could and moved down, and I was like, I have enough money to last for 6 months. And if I don't get my first publishing deal at the end of 6 months, I'm going to have to turn around and go home. And 6 months later, I was offered my first deal. So I was able to stay.
Now, you've definitely been in the industry long enough to recognize that there have been a lot of changes within the music industry.
Yes.
I have followed.
We are frozen.
Oh, the frozen.
We're back.
There you
Okay.
go.
She said she followed country for a while, so.
Yeah,
Yes.
that happens at all kinds of
Yes,
industries. So, yeah, ta-da, the magic of the internet.
Yeah.
So I have followed country music for a lot of years. In fact, I do actually even remember when you and Derek played together. And I've seen Derek a few times, and I've met him twice, I think, at CCMA Awards. But because I'm always there. Usually I'm there every year. But I know I've recognized that the industry has changed. And certainly you as a songwriter would see that, as we've seen the progression of radio play come into it and the whole, exposure of internet music. And I would like you to share your thoughts on being unapologetically unique, which is our tagline, in the industry that you are in today.
Yes, that is a great question. So it has changed a lot. It has changed a lot, and a lot of it is the income stream, right? So for songwriters, we have traditionally made our money off when songs are sold. So when a CD is bought or when an iTunes download is purchased. And obviously those things have pretty much disappeared at this point. So streaming online really doesn't pay songwriters. Right. It really just doesn't. It pays everyone else but the songwriter, and the songwriter gets the tiniest fraction at the end, which is maybe enough to pay for a cup of coffee, So that has changed things a lot. And at the same time, radio play in country music has changed dramatically, because over the past 15 years, country radio has decided that their listeners don't want to hear women on the radio. And so they have limited the number of women that they're playing on their playlist down to about 10%, somewhere between 10 and 15%. It actually went down to almost 5% at one point, yes. Which makes everything quite difficult for women in the business, obviously, because that trickles down to the songwriters. I write female songs. I write well with female artists, but we write songs we can't get the radio play, and the radio is also where a songwriter makes money. So in the end, you have to figure out how you're going to create an income where there is none. And really, to me, what I've learned from all of this is, in terms of being unapologetically you, is that you can't try to cater to what people want, what you think people want. Exactly. You can't chase where you think the money is. You can't chase anything when it comes to pouring yourself into something that you love and putting the best of yourself out there. You have to speak your truth. And even if it's ugly, you have to speak your truth, and you have to put that into your art. And so I've tried to continue to do that. And even more so, I've had a chance to do that with Mickey Guyton. As you mentioned, Sonia, Mickey is an amazing artist and not afraid to talk about the hard stuff, both just, as a woman, as a Black woman, publicly with her platform, but also in her music, which got her Grammy-nominated this past year. So we did the whole dare to tell the truth, and somehow it worked. So that was good.
I think the people were ready for it. I think a good amount of people were ready for it. Yeah. Maybe even more than what the industry thought would be ready for it, right?
Yes.
Yes. And of course, I brought this all up because I want our listeners to really know and understand. I've seen it all. I've seen many of my songwriter friends speaking up about, the streaming platforms and, and the radio play, and, how, even your local radio stations are now being bought up. The Randy Owens of Tillsonburg, Ontario,
yes.
For those of our American and international friends, the most amazing radio station, amazing guy who ever cared about artists.
Yeah.
Is, and the industry changes. And so business steps in and bought out that station. And, now he's no longer in that position. And you know what? Now I'm just thinking about it. We should probably ask him to come on our show too.
You totally should. Absolutely.
Because he is totally, he is as unique as they get.
Yes.
And he is full of wisdom. But anyways,
Yes.
I divert as usual. But I just really wanted our listeners to hear your words in that, because I know that you have spoken up to it. And I know that you have not been afraid to walk that road with Mickey. And she's just a younger woman, correct?
Yeah. Well, she's in her 30s, actually. Yeah.
So she's much younger than some of us.
Yeah.
But it's time. I really believe that it's definitely time for us to be addressing that. So
yeah, it's hard for artists and for songwriters to speak out when they see something that they want to change about the industry, because you feel like you might be jeopardizing your ability to make a living. You could be shut down by radio. You could be shut down by people who are in power positions. There's a bit of a sort of cancel culture that can happen there within the industry. So it is a scary thing. And I think for Mickey, she was the only Black woman on a major record label in Nashville for the past decade, I believe. And they have been trying to figure out how to release her material and didn't know what to do. They were just, I don't know, paralysis by analysis for the label. And so I think it got to a point where she just didn't have anything left to lose, is how she felt. She was like, well, radio is not playing me anyway. We keep trying to release things and nothing takes off. So I'm going to speak my truth. And if they never play me again, then so be it. Because I have nothing to lose. And yeah, you just kind of, and I'm in my late 40s now. I'm sort of at a point where I feel like I'm not going to sugarcoat things anymore. If I see something that I feel needs to change, then it's my responsibility to try and speak up and do something about it. Because then how will the world be a better place when my little daughters grow up if I don't do that? It's my job as a mom.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I've seen radio and the music industry change. I was going to go into radio myself, and I grew up lived in Bakersfield, so we were the Western Nashville and stuff, and seeing how much the country artists and the music has all changed too over the years and stuff. It's not the country that we grew up on. It's now a pop style country, which is a lot different now.
Yeah, there's a lot of different sort of forks of that country music has taken, and I think that what's happened is it's turned into multiple sort of subgenres, but only one part of it is being played on the radio. So that's the only one that you really hear if you're a country radio listener. And if you want to hear the other parts, which still exist and are thriving and wonderful music, you have to go search for it online or search for it in other places. And it becomes sort of the listener responsibility, the audience responsibility to go find it. But you find now there are incredible artists like Mickey Guyton or like Casey Musgraves, for example, Brandy Clark. I mean, there are so many of them who are really not played by radio, but they're getting so much exposure through the Grammys or through media, other media, that they've made a splash and reached the audience anyway, despite that, because radio has always sort of been the gatekeeper to musicians reaching their audience, and that's sort of going away. Now we can get around it in other ways. Unfortunately, the income streams aren't reflecting that, though. So it is hard. You still have to make a ton of money in it. You still have to have a radio hit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like for where you're at too, to be taking on this new faculty position, right? I mean, first of all, that's quite an honor for you, because you're being recognized for the amazing value that you give to the music industry. And I have to give you kudos for that, because I know that you were Canadian songwriter. You won a CCMA anyways, but it was a while ago, a few years ago, and and we still, within Canada, I mean, we're still trying to, knock down those US doors. We know that. But you kind of, you slid in under the radar, hit the songwriting thing. And, we as a Canadian country need to be proud of Victoria Banks, just in case you're listening.
Definitely.
I mean, I know Muskoka does, like all of Muskoka knows, right? And I mean, I'm just making a bit of a joke about it because people do know who you are here. But,
well, as a songwriter, we always like to joke that, the biggest honor that you're hoping for is to be the small print under someone else's name, and that's, it's sort of there are very few songwriters that are household names, but there are so many of them that are quite prolific. And over the past 20 something years, I've been able to get, I guess, over 100 cuts with different artists, and all over the world. And it's cool. My music's gone to places I've never seen. So it's really cool to have been able to do that and do it sort of behind the scenes, so I could still wear my pajamas and be at home most of the time, So, and not having to be out on the road and have the artist be the artist's face in front of it all, because I feel like my music can go more places when I can write with and for other people. So, having this faculty position teaching songwriting, I'm really excited about it. Belmont University is a big feeder of songwriters into the Nashville music industry, and they learn really the ropes of it going through Belmont. And a lot of my heroes as songwriters are also on faculty there. So I'm excited to be doing that. And of course, as a songwriter, it's great to have. I was like, a 401k? What is that exactly? What is a retirement plan? I've never owned one of those. Like, what health insurance? Wow. This is all stuff that as a musician, you're scrounging your way through life from one paycheck, no paycheck, to the next no paycheck. You're always trying to figure out where it's going to come from in royalties. So through the last few years, I've been trying a lot of different things with my songwriting, because I can sit down and write a song with Mickey Guyton and it can be Grammy nominated and it can still only make me $200, right? Like, I can write a song with Sarah Evans and it can go out on Spotify and be a hit and it can make me $100.
See, that's the part people don't understand.
Yes. So it's not paying. So you have to find other ways to figure out how to monetize what you do as a songwriter. And so for me, a lot of it has been in giving master classes, teaching people how to write. I'm like, well, I'm 20 plus years of experience must be worth something. And I know the ropes, so let me show you. And also I've been doing a lot of work with corporations who want to have their employees experience the songwriting process together as a team building event, or as a way of unlocking creativity, or as a way of figuring out how they're going to talk about what they do or define what they do. I've just did a big, huge one with all of the head honchos of L'Oreal's operation department in Europe by Zoom, and walked them through it, and they figured out how to say what they do, which was really hard to do. It's like if you ask a consultant, what do you do? And they go, well, I blah, 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 ROI and inspiration and blah, 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 and innovation. And nobody knows what exactly it is that they do. So a songwriter can help just formulate that into a soundbite that is effective. And so I've been doing quite a bit of that too.
That's awesome. This is a part of, how I feel about you. I followed your music for a long time, and I do love you, and I appreciate you even as a friend. But this creativity, this resourcefulness, this it doesn't matter what everyone else is saying around me. This is who I am, and this is what I can do. Mm-hmm. And that spirit, I know, I've watched you bring into your family life, your dynamics, you and your husband and your beautiful children. That's just wonderful. I just love it. Oh. I can't say enough. Oh
well, I like to call it Dare to Suck. And I think that goes into the BU show, right? Dare to suck. You got to dare to suck in all ways in life. And as a songwriter, as a person, if you don't dare to suck, then you're not going to try anything scary. And if you don't try anything scary, then how are you going to learn what you're capable of? And how are you going to grow, right?
Yes.
I love it.
we need more women speaking up this way too, which is, I mean, Jen and I realized that nobody was like, I mean, there's a lot within the sales industry. We come out of a network marketing background, and there's a lot in the sales industry that talks about being confident, that talks about, building relationship for your sales. But there's an authenticity that's been missing. There's this kind of, drop the curtain and just be who you are, and let that be your strength as a person, even in whatever you're doing, whether it's sales, whether it's music, something creative, no matter what. We have to have that, because that's what keeps us grounded every day.
Yeah.
And then we get, the little perky moments of craziness that come into our lives and totally throw us off kilter. So like perhaps a tornado in Nashville.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
This was just a little over a year ago, Jen. You have to hear this. Just quick story.
Well, I remember. And just recently, you guys got hit with some crazy storms down there, too.
Yeah, we did.
This summer, my sister went down there to visit. And I've had some friends who just recently relocated to that area, and the weather's just been crazy down there for you guys.
Yes, we seem to be in Tornado Alley, as I guess global warming is not working in our favor. So, but yeah, it was right before COVID hit, actually, beginning of March of 2020. The tornado that came through, F3, F4 tornado came through Nashville, and it came through at 12:30 in the morning. So everybody was asleep. And we did not have notifications set on our phone, which now we have everything set to blow up if anything like that is going to happen. But we heard the tornado sirens go off at 12:30 in the morning. And about 30 seconds later, before we could get from our downstairs bedroom upstairs to get the kids in their upstairs bedrooms, it hit our house. And my husband was looking out the window. There's a street light out there, and he was looking out, and everything was very still when he first looked. And he said, well, it looks like everything's okay. And all of a sudden, there are about 6 huge trees in the backyard. And he said, there go the trees. And it sounded like a train hitting our house. Yes. And it came right down our street. Tore the neighbor's roof off, that tore part of our roof off, knocked both our chimneys down, blew out all the windows, totaled both our cars with the neighbor's roof. And I ran to get the kids, because my first thought was, I gotta get the kids. They're up there.
Those babies, yes.
Oh my gosh. And they have so many windows in their rooms. I was terrified. And so Dave and I collided with Dave at a full-on hit, because the lights went off and it was just pitch black, and collided with him and broke his nose with my head. So I knocked him flat on the floor, and his nose was over on the side of his face, and just blood everywhere. It was horrible. And I literally jumped over him and said, I'm going to get the kids, because I was not going to leave them up there.
No.
And so we joke about it now. Like, if anybody ever did a Dateline episode on our house, then I would go to jail, because his blood is everywhere. It would light up with the luminol. But I ran up there and I got the kids. I didn't know when I opened their doors if there was going to be anything in their rooms, if there was going to be anything left. And they were in there. It was windy in their rooms, but they were in there and they weren't hurt. So brought them downstairs and just, spent a very scary night hiding in our bathroom until the sun came up, and we walked outside, and we didn't know. I mean, when something like that happens, you lose your internet, you lose your cell signal, so you can't look anything up to see what's going on, and you just hide. You hide until the sun comes up. And when we walked outside in the morning, we saw that our house was one of the few standing on our street, and that 2 houses over began the complete destruction of houses being ripped apart like doll houses. Like, they were missing the entire side of the house and no roof. But it was so weird, because it was like a dollhouse. You could see the closet with the clothes still hanging in it, and the bed and the furniture.
And the sound, you nailed it on the sound, because and the only reason I knew is because in high school I was out in Iowa, and I was in one, and it sounds like a freight train. Yeah. And there's just, sometimes you got a little warning, and other times there's no warning. Yeah. And you've got that calm before the storm, and then boom.
Yes.
And it comes in and it can level things on one side, and then the other side is perfectly fine.
It's like the weirdest little pencil line that it drew through Nashville, and a block over in either direction, nothing was touched, but it was absolute devastation all the way down our street in East Nashville. And there's still people that are trying to rebuild. They're still bulldozing some of the houses down the street. And of course, COVID slowed all that down too.
Absolutely.
So our house was repairable, thankfully, and we were able to move back in after a few weeks. But then COVID hit, so we got to spend our lockdown in a boarded up house. It was all the windows were boarded, no internet. It was like, so what else is 2020 going to throw at us?
Exactly. Thank you, 2020.
Yeah, and then we got the Nashville bombing on Christmas Day. So that was
I was going to say, you really shouldn't say what else, Victoria.
Seriously.
There have been if anybody follow Victoria on her Instagram and on her Facebook and like, I mean, it's just like, you're like, this woman is like amazing, because you know what? Some of these things would completely devastate people. Like, some people cannot handle, crisis. They shut down, and I know how I deal with trauma. I have a brain injury. So sometimes trauma will set me off. Right. Mm-hmm. But I also know that, just like you kind of have to just say, seriously, this is going to make a great movie someday.
This is going to make a great song. Come on, Sonia.
Yeah, a great song.
Oh, one of my very favorite things that happened after the tornado that showed me what it means to just come back after something like that, and to just bounce back and be, and this is a parenthood thing too. There were some neighbors down the street who had a young son and daughter. And when the tornado hit, the mom ran to one room, the dad ran to the other, and they jumped on top of their kids. And as they lay on their kids on the bed, the whole upstairs of the house flew into the sky. And they were left there with no ceiling. And so the next day they went outside to survey everything, and their house was just a complete disaster. And the little boy, he had 2 black eyes from when his dad landed on him. And the whole property was covered with Christmas decorations, because the attic had been all of their Christmas stuff. So Christmas decorations strewn everywhere, and little bits of that white blow-in insulation, and that was everywhere. It looked like snow. So we walked down the street the next morning, and we saw them, and they said, "Hey, would you guys mind just taking our camera and taking a picture of us here? We just found our sled, and we're going to put the family on the sled, and we're going to take our Christmas pictures in front of the destroyed house." And they were laughing. And I was like, wow, that is what you do. That is what you have to do. You have to laugh, and you have to be strong, and especially as a parent, because your kids are watching you to see how you're going to handle this and what your reaction is going to be. And so I'm sure there were times when they cried, and, but that was their response, was they wanted to just laugh together as a family about it. And they sent that out at Christmas time as their Christmas card to everyone. So I just thought that was the most beautiful thing.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I do. I remember all those posts, and I mean, I'm the sentimental one. So I'm up here weeping, thinking of, and there was other Canadians in Nashville at the time too. And everybody's messaging everybody. Have you heard from so-and-so? And, but I think, when I look at it too, I think, things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
No matter what we go through, and it's how we handle them. It's how we choose to give them energy or not to give them energy, how they affect us. And I see that strength in you as a woman, someone I admire, and watching, like, I do not have children. So I watch you guys with your kids and the development, the creativity, and I know your daughter loves to sing and comes up with these most amazing, her little post about, is this a dream the other day? I mean,
yes. She's like, is life a dream? And am I dreaming my whole life? And I was like, where are you if you're dreaming your life? And she said, oh, in heaven.
I'm like, wow. Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's just amazing. So, Jen, anything else you want to ask or comment?
Oh my goodness,
Victoria.
I think you are amazing being a mom of 2 kids, but then writing these wonderful songs for others to sing. That is a complete gift that you have. And now being able to share that and teach others how to do it. You are super mom. You are amazing. So I just have to say, shout out to you and keep up the wonderful work. We don't want to keep you any longer, and we appreciate you coming on.
Yes.
And we want to just remind you guys all to like, subscribe, and share our page. Also, if you guys want to learn more information about our amazing guest today, make sure you jump onto her website, which we have listed below, victoriabanks.net. You guys can get more information and connect with her that way. But thank you so much for coming aboard tonight and chatting with us. We had a great time here tonight with you. And Sonia, as always, you do a kick-ass job of finding some amazing guests. And me, loving country as much as I do, I am so excited about this one.
I knew you would be. I knew you would be.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I feel like we could talk all night if we let ourselves.
Well, we have this ongoing invitation. So it'll be something that we'll come back to you again another time, and we'll say, hey, guess what? We're doing show 2 with Victoria.
I would love that. That would be great.
We thank you so much. We raise our glasses to our mug of love, just to let you know. I mean, you know, we give a lot of praise here because we women, we deserve it. So thank you for your time. And we're just a new show. We're growing, but we're glad you were here with us.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
Thank you. We'll see you guys
Take care
soon. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.